Good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
We welcome you to this session on GST. For a
Yes.
faculty today, we have CMA Anil Sharma, sir. He's a practicing cost accountant from Chandigarh. So we would request you to kindly take up the session.
Thanks a lot. And good evening, my friends, for this webinar on GST registration issues and challenges that the different stakeholders are facing nowadays for such a small thing, which is otherwise very simple and first step in GST to compliance with. But still, I am seeing that since GST has been introduced in the country with effect from 1st July 2017, so many issues, so many problems are being faced by the stakeholders, including government and the government officers on various issues. Today, we will be discussing about GST registration, why this topic is supposed to be discussed today among the CMA professional or CMA fraternity. Friends, we have seen that since GST has been introduced, we are seeing so many amendments in almost every section. Every rule has been amended once or twice. Many sections were introduced, but without notification have been abolished from the law. Many have been amended from time to time, and still we are having so many problems with GST. And same is the case with the registration also when we talk about registration under GST, which is otherwise supposed to be a very simple process where everyone get registered when they are supposed to start their business for maybe manufacturing, trading, or providing services. But still, the industry, especially, having a lot of issues or their grievances with the department that they are not issuing registration numbers so simply or easily. So different type of queries, different type of documentation, different type of objections are being raised by the department officers from time to time. Still, it is going on. On one side, we are talking about ease of doing business, good and simple tax, reduction in compliances, and many more. But still, it forced me to discuss this topic today among CMAs. Why it is so? So we'll go through the issues, we'll go through the challenges, and see what steps government has taken recently to make this GST registration process a very simple for the industry or for the trade. Friends, we all know that Section 22 to Section 30 of CGST Act deals with registration in GST. So I will not be touching about these sections in this presentation because we all know that if your turnover is more than 20 lakh rupees, you are supposed to get registered under GST. And if you are a composite dealer, then your trading sale must be less than 1.5 crores. And if you are service provider, then it is 50 lakhs. And if exclusively you are dealing with goods trading, then it is 40 lakhs. So these are the basic things described under section 22 to 30, and registration is given in set procedure. But still industry is not happy the way registration are being granted under GST. So what industry thinks about this GST registration and how they evaluate, how they take it, the role of GST officers when they are issuing or when they are giving you GST registration. So friends, while going through some articles on social media or otherwise, it is mentioned that in country where red tape often strangles enterprise in its infancy, it should not come as a surprise that registering for GST a supposed symbol of tax reform became a bureaucratic nightmare. So means GST registration is a nightmare for a person who wants to start a business in India. This is a general feeling of a businessman. Means in this country, red tapeism, bureaucracy, though we are claiming that GST is a very simple or a very big tax reform in the country after independence, but in that particular GST regime or the GST law, getting registration under GST, which is supposed to be a very simple procedure without any hurdle, but still industry is talking about registration under GST this way. Friends, same thing happened somewhere else also, where it is mentioned that from unjustified documentation demands to arbitrary rejections. Means whenever you are applying for GST registration, officers or the department, maybe central government department or state government departments, asking for unjustified documents and rejecting the application for this reason, for that reason. The GST registration process had over the years morphed into a crucible and discretion and delay. So deliberately, the registration is being delayed for want of unnecessary documents which are having nothing to do with the business or with the owner or the promoter of the business, but still people means the officers in department, they are asking for such type of documentation and deliberately delaying the registration process. Though law says that GST registration will be done within 7 days or maximum to 30 days, depending on the case under which you are applying for GST registration. So friends, this is the feeling of the industry, of the trade, or the businesses in India as far as GST registration is concerned as of now. So they nearly think of that GST registration is a nightmare in this country. Friends, we all know that when GST was introduced in July 2017, it was told that it will be a simplest form of taxation. It will reduce the multiple rates of taxes. It will reduce the complexity in the compliances. It will be one nation, one tax. And from anywhere you can do your compliances, you can apply for registration, you can file your returns, you can complete your audits sitting in your head office or place which is more comfortable for you or your business. We claim that it will bring ease of doing business and will improve the business system in a country. But when we go actually at ground level, we have seen that stories are different. People are not happy with the departments working or the way it is being done by the department. Startups, which were having means our present government has a lot of expectation from startups, which is supposed to be an engine for job creation, where people have been taught that instead of being a job seeker, try to be a job provider. So startups are also having bad experience with the GST registration. And it is mentioned somewhere in the social media in one of the articles that these startups have been held hostage to inconsistent regularity enforcement, which is very, I would say, bad name for the country or from startups point of view, because we believe that startups are very outspoken and they tell openly whatever they are facing or whatever experience they are having. So the startups mentioned that complaints about bribery, OPCO process, discretionary abuse had reached a crescendo, amplified by social media and startups growing political clout. So they are also having a bad experience. Though government is promoting like anything, and we have unicorns in the country, one of the highest unicorns we are having in the world, but still people are not happy the way GST registration is granted to them, or sometimes it is state bluntly rejected also. So it gives a bad name to the country, to the atmosphere of the business in the country. though we are claiming that we have improved upon the ease of doing business in our country, India. So, friends, one of the tweet I came across on social media by Abhinav Upadhyay, who has talked about RBI regulation also, but also mentioned in his tweets that getting GST is a nightmare. So this is the position of having GST registration under GST law, which is supposed to be a very tech savvy or which is youngest tax law in the country, biggest reform in indirect taxation, which have made the things easy for businessmen. But the way these statutes blast over social media about the reality, government is forced to think upon why it is going on, why it happens. Similarly, friends, another tweet I came across from Mahima Jalan, another young journalist wants to be a job provider, getting motivated from our beloved Prime Minister ji, Modi ji. She mentioned in her tweet that my GST application was rejected not due to any issue in paperwork, but because the officer expected an in-person visit, just so to I could settle things with them under the table. So this is the position, friends, that if anyone who wants to start business, who has started business and they want GST registration, and their registration is not granted unless you meet them personally or settle the things under the table. This is open debate going on social media that people are being harassed while giving them GST registration, which is otherwise a very simple procedure of filing your application along with some prescribed documents, and you are supposed to get GST registration within 7 days. But practically, it is not being done, and story is different. And this is the gut feeling, or this is the feeling some of the startups shared on social media, taking in loop to the government officers or the concerned ministries. And that's why they force the government to think over why it is going on. That's why recently government has came out with instruction notification number 3, where they try to simplify the things, where they try to make the people accountable, and the process of GST registration can be made simple and fast. Let's see what happened to that instructions also. But still, if we go by the industry perspective, industry, it seems that industry is not happy the way things are going on at department level. Similarly, friends, Mr. Pradeep Reddy is a consultant in GST, working for his clients, getting their compliances done, also working for getting GST registration for their clients. And in his tweet, he mentioned, imagine telling your client, I can't guarantee how many weeks or even months it will take to get your GST registration approved. So just see how he is frustrated about the working of department and saying, why has it turned into a nightmare while getting GST registration, which is otherwise available within 7 days. And he mentioned further that this looks very unprofessional, that when you said your client that you are not aware of when you will get GST registration. So this is something very strange, very awkward, embarrassing for professionals also, when they are not having full information or confident that they will get GST registration. So on one side, yes, we can say that industry is not acquainted with the GST portal, or they are not familiar with the GST portal procedures or GST formalities. So that's why they may be having some mistakes, genuine mistakes in their application. But when such type of things come from professionals, it looks that things are really bad at ground level, and the provisions made for GST registration or the way people dealing the application in the department or the document submitted by the assessee or the taxpayer, how they get the results. So this is very strange for everybody, including me also. Even we also, when apply for GST registration, sometimes we feel embarrassed or frustrated that why department is asking for such documents which are not relevant with the GST registration. So friends, moving further, people are of the aware of the view that in GST, powers have been given to both union government and the state governments for same transaction, which is not good in the taste of the industry. And it has happened first time in India that for same transaction, when both governments, mean central government and state government, can ask the question. It should not be there as per the industry perspective. Initially, yes, we understand that there were hiccups in the GST system when GST portal was not properly working. There were so many mismatch, technical glitches. But after 8 years of running of GST portal, still we are having the same type of problems. And it's really a severe headache throughout the country for the businessmen, for the professionals like CMAs or others to get GST registration in a very simple and easy way. See, when we apply for registration under GST on behalf of our client, it took minimum 2 hours to 3 hours to get the paperwork done. And after submitting the application, we wait for another 5 4 days for any notice or for any clarification for department side. Sometimes we get some feedback, some clarification for the department, but most of the time we are seeing that the application is status. When we see the status, it comes at it is in process. So you never know when this process status will be converted into approved or like this. Or you get some other notice or clarification or asking for some other documents. So this is the regular phenomena when getting GST registration. So that's why professional was very right that we are not in a position to tell our client when we actually get the GST registration. So it's a Herculean task as of now, and it may be because of bogus invoicing, fake invoicing, or shell companies registration. But these numbers are very small in the system. So because of these few people, other genuine cases are being suffered. So the system should target the bogus invoicing people or the people those are getting registration with wrong document or duplicate documents. But it should not be a harassment for genuine person who is genuinely doing business and want GST registration. So friends, as we all know, MSME especially, which is backbone of the Indian economy, and people or the MSMEs are having gut feeling that a system that forces small enterprises to settle under the table while claiming to build digital India is a doomed to fail in both spirit and outcome. This is the feeling of our MSME sector about GST registration. We do not need more portal, we need fewer gatekeepers. We do not need more layers of verification. We need a trust backed by technology and accountability. This is the feeling of of MSME sector, which is providing around 45% of your employment and almost same quantum of export potential of the country. And they are not happy the way GST registration has been handled by the department officer. So they feel that the real culprits keep on spending. The government may feel itself to be failing in addressing the real problem, and hence it keeps on tightening the rescission process. So if you are not able to catch these people, those are real culprits. So you are failed to do so, but to control them, you are tightening the decision process, which is very simple and first foremost process of GST, from where you start your compliances. So they feel that genuine business owners feel they are unnecessarily being targeted or harassed, while the real culprits keep on indulging in such type of transactions and are free to do everything. So these things have forced the government to think over this process of GST registration and how businessman or the MSME or the consultant, those are practicing GST, should feel that now the things have come to the proper place. But it is not there, friends, and still we are struggling for GST registration. Friends, in reply to one of the RTI across India, it came to light, came to the knowledge of the people of this country or the stakeholders that the national average of rejection of application is 55% under GST. So meaning thereby the total applications submitted with the departments either at central government or state government for GST registration, national average is 55% applications has been rejected for some of the other reasons. Sometimes it's mentioned that documents are not proper or not complete, not provided, or sometimes mentioned that you are supposed to meet in person, otherwise registration will not be granted. Friends, state of Union Territory of Chandigarh, from where I belong, 74.96 means 75% applications has been rejected by the department for GST registration. In national capital of the country, Delhi, 72% application has been rejected on account of various reasons. In Mumbai itself, more than 70% applications has been rejected. In Kolkata, 66% applications has been rejected. So friends, as an consultant or as an accountant, if I feel that rejection of application is a national loss, if we are rejecting the application of a business houses, it means we are stopping them to do business. It means we are stopping to increase or enhancement of our GDP. So when someone is not free to do business, how GDP will increase? How job creation will be there? If there is any document lacuna or there is any issue with the promoters, it can be dealt later on. And we cannot say that because of some of the reasons that the proper this promoter or the businessman is not competent to handle business because he's a job creator. He is contributing to the economy, he's contributing to the GDP. Then why we should deny recession at such a large level? So this is a big question in with the government also. If such type of or such large number of rejections are there, who will do the business? Who will contribute to the economy? Why we are discouraging businessman to enter into a business when he wants to? How you can say that the person who is coming for GST registration will indulge in fake invoicing or will claim wrong ITC? I understand that there is a number of cases for wrong ITC or fake invoicing and ITC scams are there. But all these scams or all these malpractices started after having GST registration. So when you have conducted your physical verification of the premises, you have almost all documents like rent deed or property bills, Aadhaar card, PAN card. So when a person has provided you Aadhaar card or PAN card, why you are not accepting these documents? Why you are not rely on these documents? These all documents are issued by Government of India only. So if you are not believing, you are not relying on these documents, it means these documents are also fake. Rent deed, yes, I can understand that it should be registered, but it is not compulsory that it should be registered. If they have given you unregistered rent deed, but document is prescribed under law that rent deed must be submitted when you are applying for GST registration. If that document is available, submitted by the assessee, why you are not accepting that document? Why you are asking for another document? Why you are asking for such document which has not been prescribed so far? So friends, rejection of application is not a solution. Once you have allowed him and given him the registration, we have other tools, we have other means to verify if transactions entered into by this particular person are valid or fail. So that mechanism should work, should be at place. But merely rejection of application is not an answer to that. It means we are discouraging and we are not supporting our economy to grow. So friends, whenever the applications have been rejected, so many queries, so many questions have been raised by the department officers. Like, do you have any experience of doing this business? So friends, what does it mean? If somebody wants to start business first time, all startups are doing their business first time. So they should not come for this big question mark. No one in the world will give you experience in the business. Everybody has to learn from their own experience when they come into the business. How can do you this business from home? Yes, there are some restrictions on some of the trades that you cannot do that type of business from your residence. But service providers like doctors, lawyers, cost accountants, they can work from home. So why the objection is? Why your name is in PDS and BPL scheme? Yes, there was a case I will discuss in following slide, but these are not the relevant questions for GST registration is concerned. Another objection was raised. Residential address of the applicant or the managing director or the authorized signatory is not in the same city or the state where the registration has been sought. So this is again a very irrelevant question because in law, nowhere it is mentioned that you are supposed to be a citizen of the same city or the state where you are applying for registration under GST. Then another example or the clarification asked for HSN code of goods mentioned by applicant in registration application is banned or prohibited for sale in the state where the applicant wishes to conduct business. Another query raised, the kind of activities mentioned in the registration application cannot be conducted from particular premises. So friends, there are many more objections raised and applications were rejected. I know that state-wise some conditions are imposed on the business houses or the trade, but they also need to be addressed by the local authorities because as far as GST law is concerned, GST permit you to conduct the business anywhere in India, from anywhere in India. So friend, there was objection and clarification asked for in one of the application in month of April only. This clarification is dated 7th of April 2025. And in this clarification, the promoter who has applied for GST registration has a rented premises where in rent deed or rent agreement, it is mentioned that he is supposed to pay 1.55 lakh as fee for that premises, which may be a fee of the local government. And apart from this fee of 1.55 lakh, he is supposed to pay 9 lakh rupees as deposit for that premises to be taken on rent. For this rent deed or for this case or for this GST registration application, department has its own system of verifying the things through their own mechanism data analysis. And they find that this fellow who has applied for GST registration, his name is there in PDS scheme of the state and also in BPL scheme of the state. So department raised the question on this fellow, why your name is there in PDS scheme of the government and BPL scheme of ration card of the government when you are paying 1.55 lakh rupees as fee and also depositing 9 lakh rupees for said premises to start business. Friends, to my mind, this question is valid from their government side. But as far as GST is concerned, no such restriction is there that a person who is having BPL scheme or BP or his name is in PDS, he cannot be granted a registration under GST. No such condition is there. But yes, this is a case for investigation by the department or the government. Why such stature person of such stature is having his name in PDS and BPL card scheme? That has to be checked, and his name from there should be removed. And if there is any legal action, it should be initiated against that fellow. But as far as GST registration is concerned, no such scheme, no such condition is there, and he should grant a registration. So friends, very strange when we come across that simple procedure of GST registration reached to the level of High Court. And in this very case of Madras High Court of BC Mohan Kumar versus Superintendent of Central Goods and Services, dated 16th of June 2022, objection was raised on the application. In this case, it is very interesting to know that the department has verified and physically verified the premises. They have conducted the physical verification of the premises, and premises was valid. Valid documents were submitted to the department. And in spite of having physical verification and report of the proper officer on this visit to the premises, the application of GST registration has been rejected. And rejected because law says if proper officer is not convinced, he may reject the application. So officer reject the application in spite of having everything in place. So court mentioned that if it is rejected, then department or the officer should have to give proper reason for that. Simply because in law it is say the proper officer may reject the application, you cannot reject the application. So order was set aside and registration was granted to the person. Friends, there was another case of Andhra Pradesh High Court of this year only, February 2025, where application was rejected because the promoter or the businessman was not from the same state of Andhra Pradesh. So court mentioned that though the apprehension of the respondent means department may not be misplaced, it would not mean that registration can be refused on the ground which is not available under the statute or the rules. Means GST law nowhere mentioned that the businessman cannot run the business other than his native place. So there is no law which prohibits the person to work in Andhra Pradesh. Maybe the person or the businessman is not from Andhra Pradesh or the native of Andhra Pradesh. So this writ petition was passed in favor of a assessee or the taxpayer person or the person who apply for GST registration. So such type of things should not happen. That should not be repeated in future also, because on one side you are discouraging businessmen to do business, and also you are stopping the increase enhancement in your GDP. Reason must be technically sound when you are rejecting, or you have to, as per the court verdict, you must have to give the reason why application has been rejected. So friend, as of now, whatever we have discussed, this is the pain of the industry, MSMEs, startups, or the consultants, those are practicing GST, as far as GST registration is concerned, which is otherwise a very simple procedure: uploading the document, filling the information in respective columns or the windows as provided on GST portal. And GST registration is supposed to be granted within 7 days on some of the cases, and in some of the cases within 30 days after fulfillment of all the formalities. So friends, am I audible? Everything is clear as of now? Even confirm me. I think no one is there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So friends, this was from industry's perspective, and now let's talk from government's point of view. Why GST registration is now becoming complicated or nightmare for industry? See, in last 4 or 5 years, we have read so many news about fake invoicing or fake forms. So during financial year 25, means 24-25, as per the report published in Business Standard dated 21st April 2025, government departments or the GST offices have detected 25,009 fake forms involving fraudulently passing ITC to the tune of 61,545 crore rupees during 24-25. It's a big amount. 61,000 crore of ITC fraudulently passed on to the other firms by 25,000 fake firms. Those got GST registration based upon some fake documents or virtual offices or by means of corruption. So during this period, friends, around 168 people were arrested for fake GST registrations. Also during 23-24 or 24-25, total 42,000 fake forms were detected. Those are having involvement in ITC over 1 lakh crore rupees. Just see the quantum of the amount involved of which was used or which was passed on by these fake forms on, as in ITC, and which is total loss to the exchequer. So this is the concern of the government. Why government so choosy, so conservative in approach while releasing or by issuing GST registration? But there are very few people, those are involved in such type of things. And genuine people are being harassed by the department for these people. But yes, government is supposed to make effective their control and checks in the system itself so that genuine people should not suffer. Similarly, friends, till December 22, tax authorities have detected 62,000 crores of rupees GST evasion. for the year 2021-22. And 1,000 people were arrested for these wrongdoings by the GST department.
আমাদের বসকে যে ছুটিতে
So, to
ফোন করলে
control
তুলছে না,
these
মেসেজ
fake
করলে তুলছে না,
GST
কথা বলছে না,
decisions,
এরকম কথা।
if you can mute your mic, please. Ma'am, if you can mute your mic, please.
Sir, it is on mute only.
Oh, I am getting disturbance from your side. Somebody is asking, talking to you.
Sorry, sir. Kindly continue.
No issue. So, friends, to check all these malpractices by various people involved in fake invoicing, fake forms, government started first drive of against fake GST decision during May 16, 23 to July 15, 23, where approximately 22,000 entities were identified. Those were not at that point of time in existence after having their GST registration number. And these firms were involved in GST evasion of 24,000 crores. So friends, last year government started second drive against fake GST registration from 16th of August to 15th of October. And as per data available till September 24, around 10,700 fake registrations were identified, involving amount of rupees 10,179 crores. So from government point of view also, it's a huge stake. Huge amount is involved and more people are getting involved into fake invoicing or fake registrations, which is a concern for government. Why not to be choosy while allowing GST registration? That's why the officers working in department, they precautionary get the things done by having overlapping of documents or cross-checking of documents or the people. And they reject the applications. So government concern, we all know that is because of this fake invoicing or fake registration. It is a revenue loss to the government, unfair competition is there in the market, credibility of GST system is at stake, impact on consumer because consumer is being cheated, complexity for genuine taxpayers because government want to promote the people to come into business and be a job provider than a job seeker. But if such type of things are happening, how government will create a trust on for these people? And compliance in the legal part also for such type of things. So government is also thinking on that and very serious on these issues, but still things are challenge for business houses as well as for the government. So friends, considering the sensitivity of this case of fake GST decisions and frauds taken place, or the people are harassed for not providing them GST decision. On 17th of April 2025, last month only, government has issued instruction number 3/2025 for GST registration. So going through all the cases happening in the ecosystem of GST, as far as GST registration is concerned, government has issued these instructions, which are, to my mind, are very clear, transparent, effective for government officials, so that startups or business houses or MSMEs or the consultants should not be harassed in the hands of the officers for want of assumptions or unnecessary documents. So these instructions have been issued by taking into account or the additional documents being asked by the department, or to prevent the fraudulent forms those are involved in passing ITC, and to make the GST registration fast, and also how and which documents are supposed to be asked for as far as premises is concerned. So friends, in these instructions, if you will go and read these instructions carefully, you will find the government has very clearly, as far as principal place of business is concerned, or the principal place of business or the additional place of business is concerned, they are very categorically mentioned the documents required for if in case of owned premises. So if you are starting some business in your own premises, if you have your own shop, your own showroom, or your own house, or your own warehouse or the godown where you are going to start your business. So these instructions has made it very clear that for these premises where you are starting your business, which is owned by you, you need not to go for other documents except while filing your application for GST registration, you submit your property tax receipt. Means if you have paid your property tax, you submit your property tax receipt. It will be a sufficient document for on premises as far as GST registration is concerned. Or municipal khata copy, as this document is also valid, or the electricity bill of the owner, or water bill, water charges bill, or any other document of which is prescribed by a state government of that particular state is more than sufficient for getting registration in your own premises. So no need to submit here additional document as far as property is concerned. It is made very clear, and no need to raise any further query on these premises once you have submitted these documents along with your registration application. And if you are having rented premises, means you are starting your business in a rent property, then rent deed or rent agreement along with any of the document as prescribed in clause 1, that is water bill, electricity bill, municipal khata copy, or property tax receipt is more than sufficient for getting registration. So means if you have your own property, you are supposed to submit your property tax receipt, electricity bill, water bill, municipal khata copy. That's all. And if you are having a rented premises, then along with these documents, one of the documents, you are supposed to submit your rent agreement also. That's all. Nothing more is required. And in case of rented property, there is no need to submit PAN number or Aadhaar number of your landlord. It is not required at all. This is made clear in this instruction. So as a consultant or as a taxpayer, before filing your GST registration application, go through the instruction number 3 2/25 dated 17th April 25, and you will get clear-cut idea which document is required if you are having your own premises owned by you, or if you are having rented premises, then what to do and which document is required. Further, friends, instructions is also mentioned about if the rent agreement is registered or not registered. So in case rent agreement is not registered, if rent agreement is not registered, you are supposed to submit rent agreement, one of the document like municipal corporation receipt, tax property receipt, and also a copy of identity proof of lessor, means landlord. Here, if agreement is not registered, then only you are supposed to submit identity proof of a landlord. Otherwise, it is not required. And if rent agreement is registered, then the identity proof is not required of landlord. Then there is no need of providing such document of the landlord. So there is no need to submit such document if it is not prescribed over here. Where premises are not covered in above two slides means neither the premises are owned by you nor you are having any agreement, rent agreement. Then what to do? Sometimes it happens that the premises where you want to start your business is owned by or is related to your spouse or your father or your mother or your brother or any other relative where you don't have any agreement, rent agreement. Then what to do? Then obtain a consent letter, and along with that consent letter, copy of identity proof of that particular person whose premises are belongs to are more than sufficient document for getting registration under GST. Similarly, friends, in case of shared premises, where you are sharing premises with somebody else, for that also, these instructions are very clear. What document you want to produce for getting GST registration. Friends, in case of special economic zone, if you are having premises and you want to get a GST registration, then the document prescribed by Government of India are sufficient proof and sufficient document to obtain GST registration. Nothing more is required to be submitted. Friends, other objections raised by officers regarding constitution of the business. So these instructions has very clearly mentioned that in case of partnership form, partnership deed is more than sufficient. And if it's a company, then board resolution is sufficient. No additional documents such as Udyam certificate, MSME certificate, shop establishment certificate, trade license are not required at all. Similarly, in case of society, trust, club, government department, association of persons, individuals, or local authorities, statutory bodies, a registration certificate is more than sufficient to get GST registration. No other document is required. Friends, these instructions has further clarified that if in any case officers have some thing in his mind or he has noticed something wrong with the application and he wants some additional documents, then he has to obtain approval from deputy or assistant commissioner as the case may be. Without their approval, officer cannot ask you additional documents other than whatever prescribed in previous slides. So I think by having all these clarities, the extent GST registration will be simplified and business people will be to some extent feel relaxed as far as GST registration is concerned. So these instructions has also fixed the accountability of officer that he shall also ensure that queries are not raised for minor deficiencies and which are not relevant for establishing proof of place or constitution of the business. So this officer should be more careful while raising queries to the businessman or to the taxpayer while talking about or issuing GST registration. So friends, after getting registration, after getting application for GST registration, officer find that this application has not been flagged off as risky on GST portal as per the data analysis and risk parameters as they are using artificial intelligence nowadays and the data analysis is being done very carefully. So if the application or the information submitted in application is not flagged as risky and Aadhaar authentication has been done, then GST registration is supposed to be issued within 7 days. officer is supposed to issue registration within 7 days without failure. And if there is no Aadhaar authentication, is there, or as per data analysis, there is some risky flag is there as per their data, and officer feel that because of the local area or other factors, considering other factors, that physical verification is required, then after completing all these formalities of Aadhaar authentication or of having flagged as a risky as per the data analysis and physical verification is required, only then the GST registration is supposed to be issued within 30 days. Otherwise, within 7 days, it is supposed to be permitted or it is supposed to be issued to the taxpayer. Accountability has also been fixed on GST officer that in case they want physical verification of the premises, they is supposed to complete the process within 5 days. We cannot delay it beyond that. So within 5 days, considering all factors mentioned in the instructions, he is supposed to submit his report on the portal. Friends, under these instructions, Principal Chief Commissioners, the Chief Commissioners has also been advised to take a note, take a stock of all GST applications applied for and the applications approved and the application have been rejected and the reasons for rejection. So such type of instructions has also been issued to the respective commissioners, so that businessmen or the startups or the MSME should not suffer because of the wrongdoings of some of people. Those are committing frauds or those are involved in fake invoicing or fake forms registration. So with these instructions, I think things will resolve at a speed, and people will feel comfortable while applying for GST registration, but still there may be some issues of rejection, and department will take care of that also. But one thing, it's very clear from consultant's point of view as well as from business point of view that whenever you are uploading your documents, they should be very clearly visible, readable in form, with having good font size, so that officer when are referring these documents should not feel any difficulty in reading these documents, and document language should be drafted properly. But still, friends, these are the instructions issued last month only. We will see what happens at ground level. If officers really follow these instructions or ask the assessees or the taxpayers to meet him personally in office and settle the things under the table, which is really unfortunate on part of officers, those are indulged into bad practices of corruption. So friends, really a challenge for we people as a consultant or a practitioner of GST and businessman, that a small thing, very small thing, very simple procedure of GST registration has become such a big challenge, a nightmare for stakeholders, government also, and the professionals and the businessmen also, that these topics are being discussed at this type of platforms, and even high courts are involved settling down these type of things at high court level, means such a costly affair, wastage of time, wastage of resources of the country for small petty issues, which should be avoided, and system should be made so effective, so simple, that business should not be stopped because of such formalities. So friends, to my mind, if the government is serious about economic transformation, it must remember reforms delayed is reform denied, but reform half done is no better. So if we are talking about reforms, then should be followed in true spirit. And when we are talking about digital India, then it should be everything online without having personal meetings. And when system is set for everything, then it should be automatically moved. There should not be any need of personal visits or unnecessary questioning which are not relevant for the subject matter. So with these words, I really thanks to Tax Research Department, Institute of Cost Accountant of India and its team for giving me this opportunity and discussing with you a very important, relevant topic of GST registration, which have become a nightmare for stakeholders, both to the government as well as to the businessman, which was otherwise is not supposed to be, because it is the first step when under GST we get ourselves registered for compliances. And in any statute, registration is the first foremost step for compliances. It should not be such a big issue that 75% applications have been rejected by Chandigarh State GST Department, and at national level, average is 55% rejection. You just see the quantum, how economy has been affected because of these rejections of the applications, how many jobs have been abolished because such economic activities has not taken place. With these words, really thanks to each one of you for sparing your time and listening me patiently. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the session, sir. Should we end the session, sir?
Yeah. If there is any query or anything, then we can discuss. Otherwise, it's all from my side.
Sir, there is a question from Nishikanta Digar. He is saying that for registration GST of one of his clients, all documents were uploaded, everything was okay, but the excise officer asked his clients to bring the documents in person and asked him for some money. And he at last he rejected it, saying that location is on Google Map is not correct. In such a situation, what can be the steps that can be undertaken?
My request is that now this instructions has already been issued by the government that all such questions which are not relevant under the law should not be asked or the application should not be rejected. So based on these instructions, he should approach the officer once again and ask him to review this rejection application and approve it, because all the documents which are submitted to my mind are correct from their side, and the objection raised by officer is not valid objection of Google Map, because Google Map cannot be a valid question or valid source of income, a source of information. So they can conduct physical verification also of the premises, and after considering that, they should allow this registration. So he should approach the officer with these copy of these instructions issued by Government of India.
Sir, one more question. Where should the complainant complain about the GST if he's having any problem?
Yeah, there is a redressal column there in GST portal and also on GST Council portal. They can always raise their question on that portal, GST Council portal or GST portal, redressal cell.
So there are no more questions as we can see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
We are ending the session, sir.
Thank you.